right. Welcome to another episode of Talk 122 with your superintendent, Dr. Terrell Yarbrough. I'm here with a special guest today. I believe that you all have seen him around, whether it's been on the field, whether it's been inside the gymnasium. Seems to always be busy, but I'll let him introduce himself to you all.
All right. My name is Jason Lubben. I am the athletic trainer at Harlem High School, as well as teacher of health science as well. I've been here at Harlem High School for 16 years now.
Okay.
I'm employed through Athletico Physical Therapy for the athletic training services, but then also employed by the school for teaching the health science classes.
Okay. So let's start there. Wow, I didn't know 16 years. I'm sure you've told me. That's a pretty long time.
Yeah.
So kind of talk a little bit first about Athletico, and the partnership with Athletico with Harlem, and just to explain that to the audience.
Yeah, so the partnership between Harlem High School and Athletico, I'm employed by Athletico, and so then I do all the athletic training services after school, all the events, everything from your freshman Saturday morning basketball games to Friday night under the lights, wrestling tournaments, the large Dvorak tournament that we host every Christmas time.
Right.
30-some plus teams out here for the wrestling. So it's a great partnership between Harlem High School and Athletico.
Okay.
We've always had great rapport with all the athletes, with our physical therapists coming in, getting treatment at Athletico at our 9 locations throughout the Rockford region, everything from Belvedere to Pecatonica to downtown Rockford, all the way up to Roscoe, all the way down to Oregon.
Okay.
So we've got a number of clinics throughout the Rockford region.
No, that's awesome. And one of the things that, right away, I really respected about you, it was not that, able to keep our athletes, and give them what they need, and things like that. But also, too, there's quite a few that follow behind you a little bit and learn from you, right? So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I've basically started a student athletic training program. On my board on the pictures it says 2010, but I started a little before that. But 2010 was kind of the official student athletic training program. I've touched lives of students that still come back and say thanks and their appreciation of the athletic training program. I have a student that is a physician assistant now. I have a few students that have now become PTs, a few students that have become athletic trainers, and then also EMTs, EMS firemen, and paramedics.
Gotcha.
So nurses, nurse practitioners. So a lot of different students have come through the athletic training program, and not just athletic training, but it gives them kind of an insight on healthcare.
Interesting, and that's a different side of sports, right? That the injury and all of those things, and how you're able to keep our athletes going. So that's great. That's what a lot of people don't see, right?
Yeah.
Is what it takes sometimes with a rolled ankle. You tape it up, athlete gets right back out there, right? And we don't kind of get to see that. So that's great for you to say.
Yeah, because you came in on Saturday.
Yeah,
and
came in on Saturday,
and it's like, wow, this is what happens behind the sneens.
Yeah, and I didn't know that. Like, just to be able to come a couple hours before game time and just seeing the activity, and never would even know, right? I just show up, for game night and like, oh, okay, everybody's out there, but no, it takes some prep work.
Yeah.
Getting everybody there. So that's great. And so when you have a student who wants to be a part of what you just explained, right? How do they get started?
Yeah, so I have a little meet and greet every other Monday. So we just had our meet and greet this past Monday. But every other Monday, they can stop in at the athletic training room, kind of talk to me and see what the athletic training program is about. and I have a packet for them, kind of what the rules and regulations of the athletic training room is, and what their responsibility as a student athletic trainer or a student athletic aide, and how they can become one of those. And we just kind of work through things. But they're welcome to come down, not just on Mondays. They can come down anytime and stop by the athletic training room and just kind of talk to me. Or, I have them in class. I teach orientation and health occupational related skills, and then I teach a sports management, aka sports med class.
Right. And I'm glad that was a great segue. So you just started that class, right?
Yes.
So tell the audience a little bit about that class and the formation of it, and then your vision moving forward with that particular class.
Sure. Yeah, so I first started last year during the pandemic, so that was definitely a new, that was a new and adventure to me. So this is, my second year, but my first year with, a full class, 30 kids in the class. Okay. So the orientation and health occupation is kind of just a real baseline, basic, like what healthcare is about, the history of healthcare, how it started, and we go into medical terminology a little bit, a chapter of that, and a chapter of anatomy and physiology. Okay. And then the occupation-related skills, we really dial it in a little bit on looking at what different occupations are in healthcare. Okay. I didn't know that there's over 72 different types of nursing degrees. Right. Wow. So, you have your RN, but then you can just go wild on, everything from flight nurse to, working in a school. There's a lot of different avenues for nurses. Okay. So that's the occupational one. And then the sports management, that's when we really those kids really get into what they really want to do. Okay. And we break down, they have to have their anatomy and physiology class, they have a medical terminology, and we put it all together. And we go through injury prevention, injury care, injury treatment, injury evaluation. Okay. So we're on the shoulder right now. We're talking about different types of shoulder injuries and how to evaluate those shoulders, and origins and insertions of the rotator cuff. So it's pretty detailed. And it's not an easy class. Gotcha. But it's a fun class.
No, and that's great. And speaking of just the pandemic, right, and doing different things during the pandemic. You used to, there's a couple of videos, for everyone in HNN and, how to, exercises, things like that to do. You remember doing any of those?
Yeah. So, we did. So I did stretching with Jason on HNN.
Yep. Which I did. I used.
All right, good. Yeah, so we'll bring that back. And then also during the pandemic, I opened up a Google Classroom for each day, and we did virtual workouts. Okay. So the athletes could join in, and I ran them through a scenario of workouts. Like Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, we did a plyometric workout. Okay. And then Tuesdays and Thursdays, we did like a recovery, stretching, Pilates, yoga, stuff like that. So real good attendance. Everything from 15 kids, 10 kids. Sometimes we only had 3. But it was great to just be able to reach out to those kids and just really keep a just a relationship with those athletes out there, and just say, hey, I'm still here, and right. There's a lot of people out here that care about you, and then they're stuck at their home, and get a little bit of physical activity.
Yeah, I love it, because the biggest barrier is I don't have time, right, or I don't have the equipment, things like that, and what you're doing, you're showing us that we could still do things like that just at home without equipment or anything like that.
Yeah, we no weights. Everything all the exercises we did was no weights, and we recorded it, so then it was posted up on the Google Classroom. So if they couldn't meet at the live session, then it was already pre-recorded. All the coaches had it. It was great.
Perfect. So putting you on the spot, and I have a shoulder problem here. What exercise would you have people like me do who's having shoulder pain?
Sure. You always want to just work with that scapular stabilization, working on the posterior aspect of the shoulder, and really working on your posture, and just keeping that strong. And because you get a lot of inflammation and impingement when your shoulders come forward, and then you just really need to open up your shoulder blades and pinch the shoulder blades together and down, and that just takes a lot of pressure off off the shoulder.
Gotcha. Awesome. I almost feel like I need a dictionary though when you're talking. Like,
Yeah.
what does that mean? What does that mean? But that's
Medical
good.
terminology.
Medical terminology. There you go. And so, something I kind of do curveball questions here, with our audience, who know you, may be interested in. And so, one thing I've learned about you over the years, and I haven't had an opportunity to really try it, but you love to cook.
Yeah,
right?
I do.
I mean, love to cook.
You had to throw that in there. You haven't tried it yet.
So give everyone an idea of what's like your favorite thing to cook. Like,
Oh, well, the favorite thing that, I just love being out on the grill.
Okay.
I do. Anything that has to do with grilling, and, I love to put things on the smoker, everything from, a pork shoulder or whatever
Okay.
it might be, and just, let it go low and slow and, do some yard work. People are like, oh, yard work? I just love it.
Right.
It's just kind of I don't have to think about things and just let that smoker go and check on it and, pull weeds or,
Okay.
plant whatever it might be. It's
Right.
great. Spend some time with the kids
Okay.
and stuff like that. So
how often do you cook a week?
how often do I cook a week? Well, with being in season, with everything going on, unfortunately, I don't get to partake in. Well, I do. On the weekends, I'll cook.
Okay.
I'll throw that in, but it's hard to compete with my wife.
Okay.
We've talked about that.
Right,
My wife
right,
is
yep.
a phenomenal cook, but I'll be able to throw either some
Okay.
chicken thighs on the grill and just cook those up, or some vegetables and
Right,
stuff like that.
right.
Yeah, it's
Awesome.
good times.
So the key is that you do cook on the weekends, and remember, everybody, he still hasn't given me anything yet. So hopefully, hopefully I get a taste of this this wonderful meat that you be smoking. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
good. So I appreciate that. Well, you've had quite a few student athletic trainers come through, right? Give us someone who when you look back, or either this year or in years past, remind you of yourself.
Oh, jeez. Wow. You really put me on the spot.
Hey,
And,
I didn't say your favorite now,
No.
because we don't want to
No.
go there. But
Yeah, like all of my student trainers, they all say, Jason doesn't play favorites.
Okay.
They all know that. Like,
Yep.
I treat everybody equally. I'm proud of every single one of those student trainers that walk through my door.
Great.
It's impressive that, the lives that I've touched, the friendships that I have made, even after they've graduated and stuff like that. But yeah, one of them that really sticks out in my mind is one of my first groups is Micah Clutter.
Okay.
She is now a physician assistant for Ortho Illinois.
Mhm.
She was phenomenal. I've had her. She was all 4 years all through high school. She went on and she's done a great job.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
So
Well, thank you for that. I like I said, I appreciate you being here at Harlem. I didn't know it was 16 years, but just being on our team and being able to help, our student athletes, and every once in a while
Some
helping
faculty.
faculty,
Some
right?
faculty, yeah. I've had some faculties. Yep, faculty
me
members.
being one of them. And so we really appreciate you, Jason, and thanks for being on the show.
Not a problem.
Now, before you go, everybody has actually stepped up here and tried
All right.
to make that shot.
All right, I'm no
So
Kobe.
Let's see.
No Kobe.
But you know what? I love the confidence, though. You just got right up there. And
I just got it right up there. I
then
didn't know
boom.
no
And then-
practice,
and then boom.
no
There you
practice,
go.
nothing. But that's okay.
So, hey, appreciate you being on here.
Not a problem, my friend. Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
How are you?
Ah,
In this crazy, season here, almost the end of the fall season. right?
almost. Still
Almost
got
in there.
a couple of teams rolling, swimming, football.
Okay.
But
So-
we've got the changeover. Girls basketball has started.
Okay.
So
Okay. Now, and I love how you just jumped like right in there, because I tell you, everybody knows that, when we think of you, right, we got the best AD around, right? And I may be a little biased there, but at the same time, in the Nick 10 and anywhere that I've seen, we absolutely have the best AD. The things that you do for our student athletes, the time that you put in, it's remarkable and appreciated. So it's an honor to have you on today, so you can kind of, tell the audience a little bit about yourself that they don't really see because you're always running around and trying to put out fires and things like that. So it's great to talk to you. And so you mentioned as far as the finishing up of the fall sports, right? Talk a little bit about that with the teams that are still participating and even the teams that are done. And so as you reflect a little bit on the fall sports, part of the season.
Yeah, we've had some really, really great success stories. I think about some of the first sports to finish, like golf. We held our regional for both boys and girls. We hosted.
Okay.
We had some advancers on both the boys and the girls. And then our sectional, we had Reese Stovall advance to state, and that she advanced to the second day of state. It was just great to see her kind of shine in her season. And in her senior year, she didn't have the opportunity last year because they didn't have a state series. So she was just able to put all of that energy from last year and then this year into putting in just a culmination, kind of a capstone for her. We had tennis. We hosted tennis sectionals. We hosted volleyball regionals. So we did a lot of hosting. And I think that lent itself to our student participation, like our student sections were able to participate.
Okay.
They were able to cheer on our volleyball team during their home matches and their home regional. So it's just been a lot of fun to see things kind of come back to normal when last year everything was, I don't even know what to call last year.
Yeah.
But, we were limited with fans and only parents could come in. And so it was just really great to see that the sectionals and the state qualifiers are coming back and that our student population is able to support their friends and family in doing the things that they love.
Gotcha. Yeah, for me too personally, to be at the football game this past Saturday and to see the dog pound over there and kids excited. We would like to see more kids, right? They're supporting everything, but it was just great to see, right? And so in saying that too, with a lot of things going on, tell the audience a little bit of the behind the scenes, right? People see the end product, right? And but what goes on behind the scenes for an athletic director, getting those things like in play, right?
Sure. So I will say if you drive by the high school at probably 9 o'clock at night, you'll still see my car there.
Okay.
It's a lot of long hours. I want to be there to be able to not only watch the game, but there's setup that happens and then there's breakdown that happens. And then there's people, the spectators. I mean, you're waiting for them to kind of finish up their congratulations to their family. And so there's a lot that goes into it besides what everybody sees. There's a lot of setup. There is not only like the game that you see and the nets that you see and that, but there's the scheduling piece and making sure that there's officials and, what are you doing if you're panicking because your officials haven't showed up and it's time for them to be there, but they're stuck in traffic. So it's making those phone calls and just making sure that everything is set up. So it's like there wasn't even any background, nothing happened in the background because everything went off the way it was supposed to. That's kind of the way that I want things to look like.
Right.
Like there are no fires. And in the meantime, I'm running around putting out all of those fires. But I don't want people to see that.
Yeah.
I want them to be there to focus on their children and their friends and watch everybody have a good time. Yeah,
absolutely. And that's where I feel like you don't get enough credit, right? Like just again, people, they don't see that, right? And I do, and I'm glad that you brought that out because it takes a lot of hard work making those sporting events, go off without a hitch, or at least, not just a few hitches here or there, but you're able to problem solve those, and that's great. And so digging a little bit deeper, with you, right? Being the only female AD in the Nick 10, right? And I'm proud of that you're here and with us with that. What type of challenges does that present if they do, right? Being in in a field where, or at least in this area where it's dominated by men.
I think this is year 3 at Harlem, and I think now kind of people understand what I stand for. The other athletic directors in the Nick 10 and the other principals in the Nick 10 understand who I am and what my core values are
Okay.
and what I will fight for, which is always students. And sometimes we forget that. And there's other things that are in play, but bottom line is, like, I will always fight for our students.
Okay.
It was a little bit challenging at first, but I came in and, as you know, you were the president of the NIC 10, and for those people that are out there listening, each conference has a person who's in charge of it every year. They change from year to year, and one for the athletic directors and one for the principals, and so that was us.
Right.
And hi, welcome to Harlem. Here's 10 people that you don't know
Right.
that are in front of you, and by the way, you get to set the agenda, and you are in charge of all of these meetings for a year.
Right.
And nobody had heard of me, nobody knew kind of what I stood for, so it was kind of challenging.
Yeah.
I think year 3 we're good.
Okay.
People are calling me and asking me for my advice.
Okay. That's good.
They now understand that I do know what I'm talking about.
Right.
And I think that that's kind of a testament to the energy that I've put into not only Harlem, but into myself and
Okay.
bettering myself professionally, and being involved in the organizations, state and national organizations that I am.
Okay.
And so it's kind of transitioned to
Okay.
where I'm that go-to person for a lot of the NIC 10 ADs.
Absolutely.
So I would say when I started, I think that the kind of female aspect played a part. Girls can do it just as well as boys can.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
I had a couple of female mentors, and we still talk almost
Okay.
every day. There's certain kind of trends that we experience, but bottom line is I'm not here for, other people to kind of, I don't know, worry about sexism. I'm here to do my job for kids. And if you're in my way.
That is awesome. Yeah, and I remember that first year, right, coming in, and here you go, Rebecca, you're in charge of all of that, right? And you definitely stepped up to the plate and did a really good job. And so I appreciate that. And so now, in thinking about your vision, just moving forward, you've been here for 3 years now, and people know who you are, and what you do, and so now your vision for Harlem Athletics, like where do you see Harlem Athletics, right, in the next 3-4 years?
So one of the things, well, there's a couple of things that I really want to focus on. I've given the task to our head coaches last year they were giving me their philosophy. Like,
Okay.
how do they coach? Because, coaching just isn't standing on the sidelines or running next to kids and cheering them on. Like, there are things that go into coaching.
Right.
And so what is their philosophy? Why do they coach?
Okay.
Every coach that I hire, I ask that question too. What is your why? Simon Sinek asked that question.
Right,
Start
yeah.
with your why. So that's the question that I ask. Why are
Okay.
you coaching? And so we've moved from coaching philosophies to core values.
Okay.
What are the core values that represent your program? And then we're putting together core values for the athletic program as a whole. Like, what do we stand for? So if one of the words that we discuss is integrity, and we have somebody who's thrown out at first and the official calls them safe, and they know that they're out, if you choose that integrity as a core value,
Right.
then you need to call yourself out.
Okay.
And so we're working on that. And then I really, really, for the last couple of years, have been honing in on sportsmanship.
Okay.
It's one of my keys. I truly believe in sportsmanship. You do what's right because it's right, not because of what you're going to get out of it. And I think that as a conference in general, we do have a long way to come to be comparable to what the IHSA is kind of looking for in their Do What's Right program. We have some spirited student sections, and it's not just ours, it's across the conference.
Yes.
And I think we as adults need to teach our student sections what is sportsmanship, what does it mean to be cheering in a good manner,
Okay.
And so I think that education needs to happen across the conference. It's not just Harlem. And so that's kind of my next project that I'm spearheading.
Gotcha. Well, before I let you go, I have to say, congratulations. You recently got married, right?
Correct.
I don't know how much of that you wanted out there, but it's out there.
It's out there now.
It's out there now, right? And so, because I always want to say, obviously, Miss Hoffman, right? And so, what's your last name now? So in case your husband's watching, see, I put that in there, right?
So funny story. I will tell you my last name in just a second, but my husband wants nothing to do with sports. He is not a sports fan, and I said, well, you married the wrong person, because my life is all sports, but it's not. I'm not professional sports. It's all high school sports all the time.
Right.
And so, anyways, his name is Carr, Karr, and not Car. So I haven't quite changed my name yet, so people can still address me as Miss Hoffman.
Okay.
The Social Security office has a really long line, so that's not going to happen for a while.
Absolutely.
Everybody's still on COVID break, but so in that process of getting married, I gained 2 stepdaughters.
Okay.
They currently live outside of Illinois, but they may end up moving sooner rather than later, which is quite exciting. So we've been talking about getting the house ready for 2 teenagers, 2 teenage girls.
Right.
So
that's cool. See, you heard it here, folks. I mean, see, we get more than just the what you do, at Harlem, and that's cool. And because, family and being able to balance, family with what you do, I think is important, right? You need that, right? And so, last question I have for you is your favorite sport. I think I know what you're going to say, but your favorite sport, not necessarily your favorite team at Harlem or anything like that. What's Rebecca Hoffmann Carr's favorite sport?
that's really tough. Like I absolutely love all of high school sports. So this is not like I would choose one over the other.
Right.
I was a bowling coach, so like that seems to be like what I normally would pick or what I should pick, but
Right.
I don't know. I golfed in high school.
Okay.
I played badminton in high school. I played a little bit of tennis. So I don't really have anything that I could.
Badminton over bowling? Wow.
Like,
Okay.
I just don't know if I could put my thumb on it.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
I've been
yeah.
bowling since I think my first pair of shoes were
Okay.
bowling shoes. So that's probably the standard answer that I would give. But
Right.
I just don't know. I like everything, and I like it a lot.
Yeah. And I can tell you this, I'd never knew how serious bowling was until I came to Harlem, right? And went to one of the matches, and you're on ladders and all those things. And so yeah, no, that's outstanding, and that's great. Well, is there anything else you want to share with the audience? Just maybe something else about upcoming, winter sports, things like that. I know you touched on it a little bit in the beginning. Before you go, anything you want to?
Sure. I mean, winter sports, it's a little bit different with when they start. We've had competitive cheer and competitive dance, and boys bowling already have started.
Okay.
Girls basketball started this week, and they are they're kind of getting in their full swing. Boys basketball starts next week. Wrestling starts next week. Girls bowling starts after that. Boys swimming starts in the beginning of December, so everybody's kind of all over the place.
Right.
Spring sports, they start the last week of February, so
Okay.
it's going to be cold.
Okay. Yeah.
But I really encourage anybody who thinks they have any sort of passion or that, a high school sport might be interesting to them, just give it a try.
Okay.
There's just a ton of stuff out there. Harlem is blessed to have a lot of sports to choose from, so give it a shot.
Yep, and so for anyone else within the Nick 10 that's not affiliated with Harlem that's watching this, our AD is better than yours, just saying. So it's been great to have you on. Got to take that shot.
This is not my jam. Basketball's not my jam. Like,
I
if it
noticed
was a
you didn't mention
bowling.
basketball out of all the other sports you were talking about.
Oh, wah,
We're going to have
wah.
you try that one more time there.
It's like it didn't happen.
You gotta-
Mulligan.
you gotta- yeah,
See, we'll
yeah,
we'll get golf in there.
All right, well, that was
Wow.
close. That was close. No, I appreciate having you on.
Absolutely, it's been a blast.
And so again, thank you guys, everyone for tuning in to another episode of Talk 122. Like always, I am Harlem, you are Harlem, we are Harlem. Until the next time.